Hello, everyone, and welcome to Impact AI. I'm your host, John Hodges. Today's topic dives deep into data analytics as we explore why most dashboards are just corporate wallpaper. My guest today, Boris Vishnevsky, is someone who knows how to turn complexity into competitive advantage. He's co-founder of Alynify, where he's helping companies reimagine recruitment with AI-driven talent intelligence. Before that, Boris led emerging tech and AI strategy at Maximus, EPAM, and Slalom, and even taught doctoral students about AI and digital transformation at Thomas Jefferson University. Across roles at IBM and beyond, he's been a trusted advisor to C-suite, shaping innovation and security strategies that drive real outcomes. In short, Boris has lived at the intersection of AI, innovation, and business transformation for decades. Boris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for a very colorful introduction that touches on some of the aspects of my career. I would only add and reiterate that may come useful enough for the conversation that AI is often debated, is it now, is it the present or not? And I would definitely say and vote for AI being at the present, because those who are familiar with the history of AI may resonate with the point that I'm about to make, which is between previous history of AI that goes back to 60s. Most recent IBM Watson cognitive computing advances, and IBM struggled to find the viable business use cases for IBM Watson. And the capabilities that ChatGPT brings to us, this is our at least third foray in finding the viable business use cases where AI and AI-assisted automation can assist. And I honestly hope that the third time we're going to make it right.
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting. So you've worn many hats from IBM to EPAM, co-founding Alynify. What connects all of these chapters in your career?
It's a very insightful research and question, John. In short, it's applied technology innovation. It's figuring out sticky and prolonged business challenges where modern and emerging technologies such as AI can bring tangible, measurable, and durable value. So in that list and the value chain that you mentioned, I always start with business challenges, and then I move toward the technology landscape, including AI, trying to figure out which particular AI capabilities are the most tangible, not necessarily the low-hanging fruit, but the most tangible from point of view of solving or dissolving sticky business challenges and uncovering unseen business opportunities.
Wow, yes. So you've advised leaders at every level, from startups to the enterprise to even the classroom. What have you learned about how organizations actually adopt new technology?
The short answer to that question, always with difficulties, because existing and emerging technologies are often misunderstood, and marketing noise that happens to popularize and socialize these technologies is not always helpful. And this is most vivid and most visible with misunderstanding that exists around artificial intelligence. In working with executives, I often make that point that artificial intelligence is a very bad acronym. It's a bad acronym in two specific areas. It's not artificial because the algorithm, method, and techniques that actually implement and run computer algorithms to enable AI, they exist. They're not artificial. They've been created by humans, and they existed and been developed for a very, very long time. On the other hand of that equation, if we talk about intelligence, computers will always run algorithms and programs. These programs and computer systems can be small or large. The algorithms and programs can be more or less sophisticated. But intelligence can only be realized by humans in collaboration with computers, perhaps, but always driven by human insight, human experience, and human intelligence.
Yes, wow. Very well put. Answering from experience. So Alynify is tackling talent recruitment with AI in a very different way. What's the vision behind that?
The vision behind that is very unique in three specific areas. Recruitment, talent management, and job marketplace being substantially disrupted by socioeconomic trends, geopolitical trends, and also rapid evolution of technologies such as artificial intelligence. Those who have experience with retail have often heard the term or used the term retail apocalypse that referred to the point where brick and mortar stores more and more often started to transition to virtual and very sophisticated e-commerce environment. Leveraging from that moniker, I doubt and introduced the term of job market and recruitment apocalypse. And it's visible in multiple different dimensions. One of the dimensions goes back to also very old cartoon published in a New Yorker magazine during the internet and e-commerce transactions era, which had a tagline that no one knows when you're talking to a dog on the internet. Similarly, in recruitment, because of how AI is applied to either define, exacerbate, or create, develop non-existing skills, non-existing capabilities, it's more and more difficult to figure out and separate authentic candidates with candidates created by AI. That's on one hand. On the other hand, which is an opposite side of that spectrum, it's not widely known, but it's becoming to be more and more problematic. The case where the most polished, sophisticated, well-positioned applicants to multiple jobs with the most polished set of skills and capabilities, they actually malicious insiders that are trying to get inside of the companies with well-defined agendas to steal corporate secrets or get very close from cybersecurity standpoint to back end of the internet backbones.
Wow.
The third element is the velocity of applicants of both kinds. Those applicants that have been substantially exaggerated by AI and those applicants that may be a malicious insiders, that well masqueraded malicious insiders, come in humongous volumes, the volumes that cannot be possibly processed by human recruiters. So at Alynify, we are leveraging conversational AI and vectorization of candidate skills, as well as vectorization of hiring manager requirements, because hiring managers cannot always well articulate what capabilities and what help they're looking for. So using that vectorization, we are doing matchmaking effectively, using sophisticated voice-enabled algorithms that help identify authentic applicants from AI or malicious applicants, and using vectorization alignment algorithm match real authentic candidate skills with confirmed real authentic job requirements. That again, we help hiring managers and recruiters articulate through the similar voice-activated mechanisms.
Wow, that's very sophisticated and that's a problem that I had no idea that existed. So that's quite serious.
Mm-hmm. It is quite serious, and we are positioning Alynify not a competitor, but as an argumenter to many existing candidate management system, human resource information system, human capital management system platforms. So we'll bring the capabilities to recruitment and talent management space that's not readily available and doesn't exist on the market today.
Wow. Incredible. So let's talk about dashboards and the kind of the mind shift that's needing to take place that may not have just yet. So dashboards seem to be everywhere, but so many go unused. From your perspective, why do most dashboards fail to deliver the business value?
Because they focus on identifying and trying to rationalize consequences as compared to root causes of opportunities and challenges on the business side. And I will illustrate and answer your question with one particular story. I'd like to position myself as a business storyteller. So one of the many strategic initiatives that I contributed to and led while at IBM was Smarter Cities, Smarter Planet Transformation Initiative. In this role, I work with multiple large-scale cities in the United States to solve multitude of city-related challenges. And you can envision the city as an organic organism that has multiple interdependent challenges. So if we think about transportation for a second, we're all familiar with transportation authorities that exist in large metropolitan areas. And effective operation of transportation authority has always been one of the sticky challenges. So many transportation authorities, they successfully shifted to pay-as-you-go mobile payment systems, moving away from conductors, ticketing system, et cetera. But they continue to struggle with identifying the friction point for operational efficiency, figuring out what routes of particular buses or trolleys are more or less effective, more or less expensive for companies to run. Typically, this challenge is answered through business analytics. There are numerous dashboards that are created, trying to figure out what routes and what is the cost per passenger on a particular route that passenger travel, et cetera. So I remember facing these challenges, again, working with several large cities around United States and also globally. And I decided to run an experiment in a market area that I'm familiar with. I'm not going to name the city, but you can envision the city, the metropolitan city that you're close by.
Right.
I took a PDF version of schedules of bus routes, and through several prompts, I deposited this PDF version of schedules, bus schedules, to one of the frontier LLM models. So the things were a little bit complicated because I actually ran adversarial training between two different frontier LLMs, but you can run a simplistic term, taking your particular trolley or bus schedule and uploading it to your favorite frontier LLM and trying to figure out which routes are more or less expensive considering the cost per passenger. You will be surprised that it takes not more than 3 to 5 prompts, provided that these prompts are informed by experience, to figure out that in some of the market areas, despite the cost per ticket that passenger is charged being anywhere from $2.50 to $5.50, whatever market cost can be, some transportation authority actually continue to carry $1,500 an hour cost per passenger based on frequency of particular route and how many passengers are actually using. It boggles my mind.
Wow.
How this transportation authority continue to operate these routes.
Right.
And this particular example vividly demonstrates how AI can assist in actually optimizing operational cost and helping identify the root causes of challenges that many companies are chasing with conventional data and analytics dashboards.
That is amazing. It was right there the whole time, you know.
And it continues. Unfortunately, it continues to be there. And unfortunately, it is only through casual conversation like you and I have, I can bring visibility to these opportunities. And somehow, this particular approach of taking the data that already exists, because these PDF files of schedules have been produced through advanced analytics, and returning it back to very powerful frontier LLM engines, and driving the conversation with a specific set of prompts to help identify operational efficiency that otherwise may continue and exist forever.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So let's talk about signal versus noise. How can organizations separate the actionable signals from the vanity metrics that kind of clutter the dashboards?
So this is not an easy question to answer, and I will share with you a high-level view and thinking about it that can be explored further. Following that model that I shared with you earlier, which we always start with business, there are a couple of AIs, but also human-specific big words that I need to introduce. One is called corpus or context. AI can only be successful via prompt or any other API type of integrations, where it's defined within very precise context. There is additional mechanism that is known and well defined for development of machine learning neural network. It's called attention. And attention is basically, in the layman terms, is how neural networks evolve, advance, keeping the attention forward on a development and evolution of the neural network looking forward or looking backwards. So it's called backward or forward attention. These two constructs of context, which is synonymous to corpus, and attention play a substantial role. So to answer your question about signal, these two narratives or guardrails must be carefully and accurately established. What is the context that we're trying to measure or capitalize or get an insight on signals from? And where do we need to focus our attention? And what it leads to a need of developing, to a reasonable extent, business architecture that defines that context. How this business architecture integrates and aligns with the technology landscape where a particular business solution has been developed to answer that signal question. Make sure that the data that informs signals is properly attention aligned, and then integrated into the business solution carried out by specific technology to actually get the value. Because ultimately, whether or not it's a decision intelligence or it's a root cause analysis, there is a value chain that we are working to establish. And that value chain needs to always initiate in the right business context and evolve toward proper technology landscape. And that will inform the technology decisions. What is the frequency of the signals? How we're going to solicit and aggregate signal data? Because often it's not a single signal that we need to measure. We need to identify a family of signals that often come from non-obvious sources to ultimately drive to either the right root cause analysis or the right architecture of business solution that we're working to implement.
Wow. Yes, you're right. That is a complex question. So, how can AI help us move from static dashboards to truly intelligent decision support systems?
I'll go back to top-down way of thinking, and I understand that there is a bottom-up approach. So it is widely known, and there are more and more capabilities being introduced in AI generating the code. This area is known as vibe coding, V-I-B-E, vibe coding, where AI is engaged by software developers to help them accelerate and produce snippets of code. So this is on one side of the spectrum. On the other side of the spectrum is related to your signal processing. and what signals are relevant or not, there are areas related to business architecture, technology architecture, and decision intelligence that actually can be integrated in an end-to-end value chain to actually automatically emit not the snippets of code, but the entire business solution. So in the context of Alynify, in the context of Chief Architect Network, where I'm leading the innovation, I'm sharing that vision of end-to-end AI-informed and AI-enabled meta model, where business context is integrated with business solution end-to-end, and AI is used to maintain the entire meta model that enabled that solution end-to-end.
Excellent. Wow. So let's talk about human in the loop. What role should human oversight and context play in ensuring dashboards don't mislead the decisions?
So human in a loop is a critical component that has to do with reinforcement learning. So there are 3 or 4 terms that actually define the human in a loop moniker. It's reinforcement learning with human feedback, RLHF. It's a reinforcement learning with expert feedback, RLEF. And ultimately, it resonates with the point that I made earlier in our conversation about intelligence. Intelligence being quality and capability mostly delivered by humans. So the key and the necessity of a human being in the middle is to ensure that the intelligence is there, because AI, even through well-trained models as related to single shot inference and other technique, can only provide simple answer. More complex answers, specifically in the space of decision intelligence, AI augmented decision intelligence, can only be achieved with human in the middle, reinforcement learning facilitated by human in the middle. An important consideration during this particular conversation and reinforcement learning in either case, human, which is the end user being in the middle, or expert, the subject matter expert being in the middle, is the fact that reinforcement learning got to be an iterative process. AI or AI-related applications are often confused being static, where in reality, AI and underlying neural nets that power the AI have always evolved. Each interactions with human in the middle changes the configuration of the neural net, which in turn will change the outcome of the decision intelligence as an application. And that change needs to only take place under the supervision of humans to be directed in the right dimension to catch and remedy any biases or any hallucinations that always going to be present in the AI assisted systems and AI assisted business application. So the role of human in the middle, both human and expert, is paramount, and it is also paramount to consider that this integration of human and reinforcement learning is what brings the intelligence, and it needs to be iterative in its nature, with infinite number of iteration, not just 1, 2, or 3, but continuous iteration. Only then AI-assisted systems can become more robust, better trustworthy, and more transparent.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a deep answer there. I won't wear you out too much, but this has been very educational. So a couple more questions. Bias and trust. Dashboards can unintentionally amplify bias or false confidence. How can leaders build more bias resistant and more trustworthy data experiences?
It's another example of very complicated question, and I'll provide the simple answer, which is in the process of being developed. And then I'll elaborate a little bit more because this answer is not well known and is not well understood. So there is a critical component in foundational elements of AI, how neural networks are constructed and how they evolve, how AI is trained, which actually contributed to those shortcomings that you mentioned, which is bias, hallucination, and inability to often explain how AI arrives to one particular decision, identifying one or another pattern. There is additional capability related to training a neural network known as neurosymbolic artificial intelligence. And the difference between neural network algorithms and neurosymbolic algorithms is that neurosymbolic techniques introduce semantic relationship between nodes in the neural network. And this neurosymbolic approach with embedded semantical knowledge between states or nodes in the neural network is what can technically help and mitigate biases, provide transparency into how AI works, etc. Unfortunately, the way we stand today, the machine learning techniques that support neural net development, machine learning, and neurosymbolic, they're not fully integrated. So in order to provide this integration, one needs to embrace the approach which I shared with you earlier, which is understand and set up the right business context and focus the business context on developing and evolving a particular solution that leverages both capabilities, leverages the capabilities and strong side of the neural net development implementation, as well as neurosymbolic implementation that, again, can help and mitigate biases and provide transparency and explainability, leveraging the fact that in neurosymbolic algorithms, there is a semantic and ontological relationship. There is an ontology that exists within the neural net. So it's a combination of two techniques that carries the answer to your question.
Right. Excellent. Wow, this has been very informative. So the future, the last question. So the future of decision intelligence. Looking ahead, what do you think, or do you think dashboards will fade away, or will they evolve into something more interactive and predictive or adaptive? How do you see all this going in the future?
I'll break that question, John, in three parts. I cannot predict the future, and neither can AI.
Okay.
So someone had that conversation with me, somewhat similar question, Boris, how do you predict the future of AI capabilities in 2 to 3 years from now? And I shy away from this particular prediction. But what I can share with you, some practical first-hand experience. It is well known and widely known that insurance industry continues to run on Excel spreadsheets. They are very sophisticated models that insurance actuaries run. And these models today combine, they present a combination of big data, analytics, dashboards, in-memory databases, in-memory data processes. But ultimately, when chief actuary of a particular insurance company makes a decision, he looks at the spreadsheet or some variation of the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So my point is that dashboards are unlikely to go away or completely get displaced by AI. What I am promoting is back to my example of that metropolitan city transportation company. The data can easily, AI can assist with the right use, conservative use, correct, with human in a loop and all of the other appropriate techniques, required techniques, can definitely convert a PDF document into substantial business insight. And it can be done very rapidly without the need to hire big data programmers or data analysts or Excel specialists and build very sophisticated Excel application. Similarly to wiping out any other code, AI can produce Excel spreadsheets and very complex Excel applications. So my answer to your question is going to be not either or. It's going to be a combination of two. I would definitely vote for AI and AI capabilities to play more substantial role and actually use hand coding of Excel spreadsheets and dashboards and Power BI and Tableau dashboards to go down. And I would promote the use of AI creating these capabilities, but these capabilities are not going to disappear in short or medium term if I would to take a guess.
Wow. Well, that's fascinating, really. Well, thank you so much, Boris, for joining us. I definitely know now why you teach doctoral students. I think this has been the most informative, deep level podcast that we've had. So thank you so much for your insight.
Okay, thank you very much, John. It was great to meet with you. And I am not only teaching doctoral students, actually working with technology executives to enable and implement that vision that I shared with you.
Well, we know why. That's for sure. That is excellent. Okay. So to our listeners today, we unpacked why and where dashboards fail, how AI can shift us from wallpaper to decision intelligence, and what it takes to build systems that people actually trust and use. Thank you again, Boris, for joining. And how can our listeners connect with you or Alynify to learn more?
LinkedIn is the best way, and the simple email address to reach me is boris@alynify.com.
Okay, simple enough. Well, folks, thank you all again for being with us on Impact AI. Until next time, keep making smart decisions and keep making an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Good to meet you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.